You want to stand out in the crowd? Do you want to be different? Do you want your agency to be the one that they pick among the thousands of agents that are out there? Well, there's lots of ways to do that.
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
And a very powerful way is the power of saying thank you. It is critically important that you are grateful to your clients or customers that sign up with you. This is one of those things that gets overlooked. We work so hard to bring in that new business that we may just forget to do something that can be super, super simple, or create these processes that can be super simple to bring a greater level of retention and keep these folks in your herd for longer. Really important, right? Because the more that we increase the retention, the less that we have to write to break even, and more of what we write becomes growth. And the more we grow, the quicker we get to that point where we can either sell the thing or take the foot off the gas, start collecting. So there's lots of different ways, and people have different outcomes for their agency, but the quickest way to growth is to make sure you're writing business and to plug that leaky bucket, right? That hole in the leaky bucket is where we can find some answers here. And it doesn't cost a lot. So I talked a little bit about my Tiffany's experience with Randy from Tiffany's. I've talked about him in all of our coaching calls. We've talked about it everywhere because it's such an important story, right? The power of saying thank you and the power of writing that thank you down in a card and sending it out. We can definitely create an environment and a process where this occurs, right? We can have our sales folks every morning. The first thing they do after your sales meeting is write out their thank you cards to whoever purchased yesterday. Now, if they're selling one or two a day, this isn't a lot, right? Or you could lump it all into 1 week, wait till the end of the week, they send it on Friday. Whatever you want to do to create that process, really, really important process. Let me explain the counter, the opposite, right? Randy created a relationship between me and Tiffany's, the jewelry place, that probably went from a lifetime value of $100 to $200 to a lifetime value of well in the 5 digits. Probably spent more than $10K there now. So he did it with that thank you card. He did it by following up, like those things I talked about. But let me talk about the opposite effect, okay? Because for me, and I think for many people, it's really important that you feel that the place who earned your business actually cares, right? That they're grateful. Because without gratitude, who cares? If they're not grateful that I made the decision to work with them for whatever it is, if they're not grateful for that, or it's not a great process or a great experience, what do? I'm going to find somebody else, right? So let me talk a little bit about a recent experience that I had that was a big purchase. I bought 2 condos, okay? So one of the things that we love to do is grow, right? Grow our business. And a great financial strategy is to then take that money, any profits, instead of buying depreciating assets like cars and boats and toys, you invest in properties. So I did that. I started an LLC, invested in 2 properties in Colorado, in Durango, in Ski Town, right outside of Purgatory, and 2 beautiful condos for Airbnb. So they're on Airbnb, they're doing their thing. But the process to purchasing these 2 condos, which were new builds, the process leading up to closing, I worked with obviously a realtor and a lender, and we're talking about $1.5 million purchase for these 2 condos, with financed, of course. So purchase these condos, and after we closed, which was a nightmare, right? They sort of pushed really hard to have the closing date sooner than these things were actually ready. So number one, not a great experience. In fact, a couple of the things that needed to be fixed, still not fixed almost a year after taking ownership of these condos. Okay. Because once you pay for it, they're gone. But this is what's interesting. No email, no call, and no personal thank you card from the realtor. Now, let's think about that. If the realtor on the buying side made 2.5% off of 1.5 million, they took down a pretty hefty commission, right? That's $37,500. He pulled down a $37,500 check when those things closed, and they closed early because they pushed to close it early. I think it was on the builder side. Maybe they were running out of money, but they needed it done. I followed their instructions and orders because they put a little pressure saying, they may back out, blah, blah, blah. So anywho, purchase this thing. No thank you card, no email, no call, which for me is pretty frustrating. Will I work with this realtor again? Probably not. Will I work with that lender? Nope, probably not. Do I have other lenders I've worked with who have showed gratitude, other realtors who have showed gratitude? Absolutely. And I wonder why I would consider working with the one who wasn't grateful versus the one that was. I wouldn't, right? So real important, apply that to the business as we bring people in that we're not making a ton off of, but for them, they're spending a lot. Right. I know that you write a new household, maybe we're making $100 a year, $200 a year, a few $100s for the lifetime value of this client. But for them, they're spending $1,200, $1,500, a couple $1,000 every 6 months. So for them, it's a lot of money coming out of their pocket. And for them, there's a high likelihood that they would be grateful to see us show gratitude. Right. And what does that earn from them? I think that earns loyalty. Right? If you could just move your folks from renewing one extra time than they would have just by extending some gratitude, that can have a big impact on your retention when you're looking at your overall book and everything that goes into it. So I can't stress enough how important those thank you cards are. Gave you that process for them. And then some other things, some other ideas that you can throw in there. We could keep track of customers' birthdays, their spouses, significant others' birthdays, and we could send something out. Now, is this going to have a huge effect, or is it going to be a big needle mover? Maybe, maybe not. You could get creative, put a QR code in there that is some kind of referral program, or even throw in a QR code for a quote for an umbrella, whatever, right? Lots of different ideas there. Sending out holiday cards, personalized letters. We could do a client appreciation events. I know that a lot of carriers are going to help to sponsor some of those events. So something to talk about with your carrier. So those are some great ideas that we can use to incorporate gratitude into our business that in turn is going to create a longevity of that customer/client, keep them with you longer. And again, we want to build the wall up higher so there's a less likelihood that they take off. That is another playbook. I'm Craig Pretzinger. Make sure to follow us on all of the podcast platforms. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Thanks. See you soon.